Hello, you're welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to learn how to draft a bustier with plunge neckline, also known as deep V pattern. And here I have a basic bodice block without the waist dart yet, because we are going to alter it to a bustier. Here I have my shoulder line, chest line, bust point line, under bust line, and the waistline. Then I had 1 inch for stitching allowance. On this shoulder line, I divide my shoulder measurements by 2 and I went down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. For the neckline, I measured 3 inches by 3 inches and I connected the round neckline. The next thing we are going to do now is to measure and mark the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, also known as bust span. Whatever measurements you have, you measure and mark from the bust point line down to the waistline, which is also the front length. Then you connect with a straight line like so. So once you are done connecting, the next thing now is to do the under bust tightening. So here I'm going to use 1 inch on both sides of this line instead of the ½ inch we used to take on the waistline. Because this is a bustier, we need the under bust tightening. So you can use 1 inch on both sides, and depending on your bust size, you can use more than that or less than that. Then you connect with a straight line. So like I'm going to measure the bust radius. So after this, you are going to connect to the bust point, measure again on the bust point upward line. Any of this method that you decide to use is still going to connect on both sides of the line. So to the bust point, use whatever method just like the way I'm doing. Then you connect the points with a straight line like so. So here is going to be our new chest line. Before we can do the over bust tightening, we need to create like a dart line or a guideline here. So we'll divide the shoulder measurement into 2, then we connect to the bust point with a straight line. After this, you are going to tighten the chest area by taking ½ inch on both sides, or you take 0.75 depending on the bust size. So here I'm taking 0.75 on both sides of this line, meaning I'm going to have 1 inch altogether for the over bust tightening or the chest tightening. After this, now you are going to connect the neckline, and you're also going to connect the armhole. So to connect the neckline, you will need to decide on how deep you want the neckline to be. It's going to be like a very deep sweetheart neckline compared to the regular one. So you can decide to maintain the under bust or the waistline, or maybe between the under bust and the waistline. So from the under bust, you can go down by 1 inch, just like this one that I mark here, and your neckline is going to stop on this point. And you can also decide to maintain your under bust line. But before that, we need to determine how wide the center is going to be. So if you mark 1 inch, that means you are going to have 2 inches altogether by the time you open it up. But if you feel like you don't want your boobs to show, or you feel like it will be too wide, you can simply reduce it by marking 0.75 or ½ inch. Then you connect back to this upper part. So the first thing I'm going to do is to connect with a dotted line. You might not see, it's just a fainted line. And then after that, you can use your curve ruler to connect it if you are satisfied with the dotted line you created. And from that point again, you are going to connect back to where exactly you want your plunge neckline to be. I just hope you understand how I explained it. So this is just like a free hand drawing. So once you stop at that bust point line, you connect it back to where you want your plunge neckline to be, just like you see me doing. It's going to be having like a sharp V like this. So here I'm not okay with this drawing, so I'm going to repeat the process again. So if you cannot do it step by step like this, you can simply place your curve directly on it, just like what I'm doing here. You're going to place your curve directly on it like this, so you would not mind whatever shape is going to be, but the measurement you have earlier will just be a guide for you. So I'm going to be using this drawing that I have here, because I can still wear it like this, okay, because it's still not too wide. Okay, I'm going to maintain this new line that I have. So once you're done with that, you're going to connect back to the armhole, just like you see me doing. So here you can use your free hand, and if you are good with your curve ruler, you can simply make use of your curve ruler, just like the way you see me doing. So that is that about that. You can see I'm still using my hand to blend it in. So after this, we are going to extend this dart intake to the yoke area to tighten the yoke so that we do not have a gaping. So just extend the dart like this. All right, so this is what you're going to have. Then after which you are done with this, the next thing we are going to do is to take the body circumference measurement, quarter of your measurement, that is divided by 4, we already have the bust circumference divided by 4. So on the waist, I'm going to take my waist circumference divided by 4. I'm going to replace the darts that I took earlier. Then I'm going to add my stitching allowance, meaning that the 2 inches that I used for the under bust tightening to the waist tightening, I'm going to replace it. So then on the chest line, I measured my bust circumference divided by 4 plus my stitching allowance. Then I'm going to connect the points together. So I'm going to highlight this line so that we can see clearly. The line that is not shown is just the seam allowance line. It is not the actual line. I will demarcate the side seam allowance just like you see me doing, and I'm going to indicate how many inches. This is really important. The next thing is to take the side dart. Do not forget, you're going to be using the difference between the front length and the back length. You measure down from the bust point line and connect back to the bust point like so. So we're going to be closing this bust dart later. What I'm going to do now is to highlight all the lines that I'm going to be working with, and we're going to know where exactly to cut our pattern on. So guys, I already highlight the lines. We are going to be cutting on all these highlighted lines. So but before that, I'm going to label this upper part as the yoke. Kindly label your pattern accordingly. This is really important. What I'm going to do now is to cut out the pattern. Pay attention to the way I'm going to be cutting it. I hope you find this tutorial helpful. I really like to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section about this tutorial or my previous tutorial, or if you have a video request, kindly drop in the comment section for me. And do not forget to check the description box for the links to the previous interesting tutorials that I have made in the past. And do not forget to like and share this video. Thank you. Once you get to this point, you are going to slash through the bust point line. Then you are going to close up the bust dart and secure it with a tape just like this before you proceed. So guys, that'll be all for the front pattern, and this is what we are going to have. Here I have the center front, and I'm going to cut 2. Here is the side front. I'm also going to cut 2 pieces of that, and the yoke is going to be cut on fold. So this symbol here means I'm going to be cutting the yoke on fold. So guys, I've went ahead to draft the back pattern just to save our time, and it's just a basic body switch, shoulder line, chest line, and the back length, also known as the waistline for the back. So for the neckline, I used 3 inches wide and 1 inch deep. This is just a basic bodice neckline. And for the waist dart, I use 1 inch, and I also take the back tightening 0.5 inch for the back tightening. So what I'm going to do is to take my body measurements. I'm going to replace the waist dart, and I'm also going to add my stitching allowance on the waistline and also on the chest line. Then I'm going to connect like so, and I'm also going to indicate the side seam just like I did for the front. So now after this, now we'll now decide on the yoke design for the back. So you can decide to have a slant line or a straight line. So for the yoke at the back, I'm not going to be cutting it out totally because I want to keep this pattern for next time. So you can decide to make your yoke slanted, and you can also make it straight. But whatever you do, you make sure that the neck width for the front and the back is the same thing. All right, so I have about 2 to 3 yoke design at the back like this, so I can decide to use any which one I prefer. Then I also have a zip allowance here of 1 inch. Yours might be more than 1 inch. So this slant line is what I'm going to be using, and I can also decide to change my mind later. I'm going to be cutting out on this pattern. So cutting out of the back pattern is as simple as the basic bodies we know. So after cutting out the pattern, you can decide to leave your back pattern like this, or you cut out, you separate the yoke, or you separate the yoke and the lower bodies just like I'm doing. And as for the dart, you can decide to cut it out, or you just fold it in. This is just to save the pattern for future's sake if you want to use the pattern later. So guys, that'll be all for the back pattern. And as for the yoke, I'm just going to fold in this line. I'm going to fold in this part, and I'm going to be making use of this other side, all right, because of next time if I want to use the whole of this back bodice. I'm going to label the zip allowance area as well. So guys, that'll be all for the pattern drafting of the bustier with deep V or plunge neckline. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If yes, please give it a thumbs up, click on the like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video, please share it, click on the share button. In my next tutorial, we are going to transfer this pattern to the fabric and we are going to cut and sew the bodice. Till we meet again in my next one. Bye bye.